Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with the battle report for the final game of last weekend's tournament. My Bretonnians versus an Ogre Kingdoms army, 3,000 points. This scenario was kind of like a modified meeting engagement. Um, the biggest difference being that you deployed one unit at a time, and you could be right on that middle line, the diagonal line dissecting the board. You didn't have to be 6 inches away from it, but you did have to be 12 inches away from an enemy unit. So for instance, I rolled off. I was able to deploy first, so I put a unit of archers right in the middle, right on the line, so that it pushed his whole battle line back 12 inches. So that's why it looks the way it does. And then he could put a saber tusk, just if you look at the upper middle, right above the ogre's word, to do the same thing to me, to push my line back a little bit. The high on fume scenario I'll get to in just a little bit. Basically, on the very far left, he's got a giant, a huge unit of bulls. Looks like there are 11 of them with the slaughter master, who's also the general. There's a iron blaster on the hill, a thunder tusk, a unit of 5 man-eaters with swift stride and stubborn. Let's see, 7 iron guts with his butcher. Then he's got 4 mournfang, some lead belchers, and then a smaller unit of ogres. Looks like there's 8 of them with the bruiser battle standard bearer. And you can see he kind of started getting a little bit congested. So on the very far left, as you saw, I had archers in the woods, and those woods were venom thickets, so they had poison. So I loved them being near the giant where I could shoot at him and wound him just by rolling 6s to hit. On my far left, I've got my monster killing units, the Knights Errant with the Errantry Banner with my general. Then I've got my big block of knights with characters in there, as you can see, Grail Knights, and then I've got my horde of men-at-arms. Now, basically, that high on fumes scenario said that you could pick one unit in your army, and they were going to be high on these poisonous fumes. So basically, they'd be frenzied, +1 to hit. They'd have a 6-up ward, but they couldn't use your general's inspiring presence, and they could not use a battle standard bearer's reroll. And if you joined a character to them, the character could never leave. So normally I would put my damsel with these guys and give them the same ward save that my knights have, but since they had a 6-up ward anyway, and I didn't want to have her stuck in with them, I just took her out. My thinking was, I love this unit. And men-at-arms at +1 to hit with frenzy, if I can get Weisson's wild form on him, I just want to shove that unit right down his throat and let him beat the snot out of it, but at the same time, that unit should really, really devastate whoever's in combat with it. Then let him break, and then countercharge all his weakened units with my knights. So that was kind of what I was thinking. There's my damsel, got my Grow Relique, my Questing Knights, and my Pegasus Knights. Now normally I don't try to spread the board like this, and my initial thought was even just to pull all my units on the left and let all his rightmost units just sit there with nothing in front of them. But what I was thinking here was, when the Mournfang move up, if they go towards my men-at-arms, I want the Questing Knights to threaten their flank. I like the Peg Knights to take care of his lead belchers, and then I'd probably crisscross the Questing Knights with the Grow Relique and let the Grow Relique hold up his battle standard bearer's unit or anybody on this side of the board. So I was feeling good about it. I have a Treb in the back right corner. I have another Trebuchet, my fast cav, that were not able to deploy. He had a Saber Tusk, and I think that's it. I don't remember anything else he had that couldn't deploy. So we go Ogres turn 1. You notice my archers in the middle of the table are gone. He charged them. When the Saber Tusk charged, I fled, and he caught them. And that was perfectly fine with me. They served their purpose. I'm very, very okay with how the board looks right now. He didn't really move up as aggressively with his units as I thought he might. Over here on the left, yeah, I did my stand and shoot and didn't do any wounds on the giant. I was kind of bummed. Again, they had poison, so I was hoping that would, maybe get lucky, get some on the stand and shoot and some in combat, because I'll be poisoned in combat as well, and might get lucky and kill that giant. But it did not happen. So it looks like this. Oh, and there's that Saber Tusk. I thought it was brilliant. He brought him in anywhere along his outside edge, and so he brought it to where it has a direct line towards my Trebuchet in the corner. So, with stuff like that, I try not to let it affect my battle plan. If he kills my Trebuchet on turn 3, that's okay. Hopefully it will have done its job by then. So overall, the battle lines look like that. Yeah, in combat, these guys were awesome. They did 3 wounds on the giant in combat. I was thrilled with it. Yeah, he broke them. They couldn't even be steadfast in the wood, so he had them on snake eyes, and they broke, and it looks like it does. I was really hoping he would run farther than that and run them down, because on my turn, my general's unit was going to charge him, and I was hoping he'd just be farther away from his lines for the inevitable counter charge. But whatever. My general charges his giant, and I'm very happy with that. That's what he's out there to do. My men-at-arms charged the saber tusk, and again, I'm very happy with that. And at the very top, my peg knights charge his lead belchers. So, that's pretty much a 50-50 combat. You see I have 1 wound on me already. That was during his shooting phase. Um, but I just don't care. If they can even just weaken them, I'll be okay with that. My questing knights I backed up, and I did it because I didn't want them to get charged, but it served a dual purpose of blocking his saber tusks direct, his beeline towards my trebuchet. So now he'll have to pass a leadership test to try to march to go around my questing knights, or it's just going to hold him up a turn. He also could charge, but he'd have a charge in the flank. I'd have a banner and 2 ranks unless he starts doing wounds, and so for the most part I wasn't worried about him charging me. So over here, I lost 1 knight errant to the dangerous terrain, I think. I lost 1 regardless. My general got heroic killing blow, and then I just reformed because I know I'm going to get charged, and I'm really, really worried about this. Over here, we easily kill the saber tusk, and it's dead, and I decide just to overrun. Now, by overrunning, I get out of the leadership bubble that my Grail Knights were giving them, because they can't use the general's inspiring presence, but the peasant's duty allows them to use the nearest knight's leadership. So I decided it'd be better just to get them away from my Grail Knights, because I don't want to take the chance of them losing combat and my opponent getting an automatic charge into my Grail Knights. So I got Weissens on him. These guys are toughness 4, strength 5, +1 to hit, frenzied. Bring it on. They should act like a bunch of wood chippers. I don't need him to win combat. I need him to weaken his units so that my knights can come in later and have a better chance of breaking them on the charge. Over here, I did 1 or 2 wounds on him. He did 2 wounds on me, so that's not going to go well. We go to Ogres turn 2, and yeah, we're in the thick of it. If you start looking at the far left, his general with the big unit of Ogres charged my general's unit. Man-eaters, Iron Guts with his Butcher and his Mournfang all charge my men-at-arms. And the Iron Guts rolled like 11 for their charge distance, so they get the D3 impact hits instead of 1 impact hit. So they are going to do a lot of damage there. This is really worrying me. Basically I'm not going to issue a challenge, and then if he doesn't issue a challenge, all my general's attacks are going to go on his general. If he does issue a challenge, I'll either accept with, well, I guess my champion is the one that died to the dangerous terrain. Darn it. So I would have to accept with my general. Anyway, when it comes down to it, we get a challenge his general versus my general. He's got, I believe it's a 5-up ward, and he feels he could survive it, and then with all those attacks, I think it's 21 attacks from regular bulls. There's a real good chance I'm not going to be steadfast, and he's going to get just a ton of points right there. Over here, I'm very excited for this. I really do think, now that Thunder Tusk is making, I think, 4 of my men-at-arms always strike last, but the rest of them are going to initiative 3, which is better than his initiative 2. So I'm really thinking that I'm going to weaken those units. Over here, it is, as you can see, I don't know if his BSB's unit tried to charge my Grey Relic and failed, or if they just moved up. I honestly don't know. Overall, it looks like that. You can see I brought my fast cav on. My trebuchet that I brought on last turn, I never said this, but it's on my far left. So I have 1 in this far right corner and 1 in the far left corner. He did decide with his saber test to go ahead and charge these guys. Again, he's starting with static combat res 2. I'm at 3, but if he does a wound, then my static res will be 2 and his will be 3. And then I'm really hope I need to do some wounds on it. His Iron Blaster's been shooting at my Knights of the Realm unit. The first turn he killed a couple. This turn he killed 2 or 3. Overall, I've lost 5 Knights. In all honesty, it hasn't worried me so far. It's okay. That unit's big enough they can absorb it. And this is where things got crazy. So we get in the challenge. My general gets 2 heroic killing blows on his general, and it didn't matter as far as this was concerned. But I'm pretty sure you get all remaining wounds for every killing blow you get, and so I think his general started off with 5 wounds, so that's automatic 5 active combat res, and possibly 10 for getting the second killing blow. Like I said, I don't think it mattered for this one, but it was huge. Then his guys came in and only killed 1 knight errant, which seemed really low to me. But in doing the math hammer on it afterwards, I think on average he should kill 2. So it was a little bit unlucky, but it wasn't insanely unlucky. Anyway, with the wounds that I did, which I don't remember, we won combat. They broke, we ran him down, and the angle was perfect that we got a free charge into his Iron Blaster. So very, very happy about that. Yeah. So far my general has had 2 heroic killing blows. And this was what will forever be known as the wood chipper men-at-arms. His guys came in. I mean, that's a lot to take from an ogre unit. And he ended up doing 24 wounds. I mean, he had impact hits, stomps, all those attacks. But again, I was toughness 4 with a 6-up ward. He did 24 wounds on me. My guys did 15 wounds on him. We killed a Mournfang, put 2 wounds on his butcher, killed 2 iron guts, killed a man-eater, and then had some extra wounds here and there. So I was thrilled with how the men-at-arms performed. And then just to turn something wonderful into something brilliant, they were steadfast on a 6, and they passed it. Again, they couldn't use Inspiring Presence, they couldn't use a reroll, and they just passed it. So if he had broken them, I would have got some nice counter charges and things that would have gone okay. But with them holding, that, as far as I'm concerned, that turned the game right there. This was really scary. He did do a wound, so he had a charge, a flank, and a wound on my Questy Knights. I didn't do any wounds on him, so he won combat by 1, and I almost lost all my Questy Knights to a stupid Saber-Tusk. But I was steadfast on an 8, and I passed it, and then I was also able to reform. Up at the top, yeah, the Peg Knights weren't going to hold up. I'm okay with that. He got away, and, you know, he has a chance to survive. So we get a Bretonnia turn 2. Of course, my general's unit is still locked in combat with the Iron Blaster. If you look at the very top, my Peg Knight rallied. My Questy Knights, of course, are still locked up with the Saber-Tusk. My here at the bottom, I kind of crisscrossed my Battle Standard Bearers unit with my Grail Knights. And the Grail Knights, by the way, they've moved up since the charge. So, because as it looks now, the Knights of the Realm couldn't make that charge, but they could. So I took them in there because they're stubborn. And my fear is, I know I'm going to do a lot of wounds on his guys, but there's still a chance that he's going to do so many wounds on my men-at-arms that I'm going to lose combat. So I didn't want to take the Grail Knights in there and even just take the chance. Plus, it really should go my way and I don't need them, and I'd rather just have them available for whatever I need next. So overall, it looks like that. Here's the right side of the board. I'm not in any kind of hurry for my Grail Relique to get in combat. I just want to slow down his Battle Standard Bearers unit. Through shooting, I cut that unit in by a third, so very, very happy with that. They're much less threatening than they were. And after combat, again, it was just crazy. Those wood chipper men-at-arms tore stuff up. The charge with my characters and everything really tore up the man-eaters, and that's important because those guys are stubborn, and you can see that the one remaining guy held. But look at the in the woods, the iron guts just chopped him to bits. I couldn't kill the butcher; he's sitting on 1 wound. I think he had 2 iron guts remaining. One, the standard bearer, died when he fled. The Mournfang on the right fled just through combat res. These guys. I know it's overkill, but I'm +1 to hit. Strength 5 was awesome. We forgot to kill the Mournfang banner when he fled, but regardless, it looks like that. Of course, my general got heroic killing blow on the Iron Blaster, so he is 3 for 3 this game. Yeah, those men-at-arms, they started off 50 strong. They're down to 13. Yeah, and again, that banner should be dead. Over here, yeah, we easily killed the saber tusk this time and just reformed. I'm very happy with the questing knights. These guys are very fragile. They don't stand up to any kind of prolonged combat. So I'm finding that it's better just to hang back with them, threaten flanks, threaten high toughness or good armor save guys, but not to rush in with them. So overall, the board looks like that. Ogres turn 3, he rallies the Mournfang. His Battle Standard Bearers unit charges the Growleek. Now, I don't have any kind of reroll near there, but if I can pass my Stubborn 8 until my Knights get over to hit them in the flank, you know, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. His Thunder Tusk comes in. Yeah, I mean, what else is he going to do with the guy? He needs to beat my men-at-arms, overrun, and get out so my general can't charge him. But my men-at-arms are still frenzied. No, they're not frenzied. I'm sorry, they lost their frenzy a couple turns ago. They're not frenzied, but anyway, they're still pretty brutal. And yeah. So over here he kills my battle pilgrims, but we stand at the very top. He charged my lone peg knight, and I just fled. I figured my chance of staying on the board was better than my chance of surviving combat with him. And I was right. I'm barely on the board. And after combat, he killed my men-at-arms down to where there's only 2 of them left. And no, he didn't. I think he killed them to where there was none of them left, and then he overran. And one of those 2 scenarios, my Battle Standard Bearers unit killed the last man-eater. So we're all just kind of looking like that. So on this turn, and this is the reason I didn't reform my Battle Standard Bearers unit to face the Thunder Tusk, I wanted my BSB's unit to push his Butcher and that lone remaining Iron Gut off the table, because the game's going to end pretty soon, and I could see them being far enough away from the table edge they'd just stay on the board and get all those points. So I charged him just to push him closer. He's on Snake Eyes to rally, so I'm hoping that he'll get off the board. Charged my General with the Knights Errant at the Thunder Tusk. They failed their charge. Reform the Grail Knights so they can maybe take care of that Thunder Tusk. Maybe not, because they'll be always strikes last, and that could get ugly. Yeah, so it looks like that. At the very top, you see we have some action going on. My Questy Knights charges Lead Belchers. My Peg Knight rallied, so he's just going to hide the rest of the game. My Sorceress used the Amber Spear beefed up version to put a Strength 10 Bolt Thrower through the flank of his remaining Moorfangs and just killed them all. Just obliterate them. A lot of things could go wrong there. I mean, I could fail a roll to wound. I could do less than 3 wounds every time, because as soon as one of those monstrous cavalry survives the spear, the bolt, it stops. So that was not a foregone conclusion, but it was nice. Got them off the table. Killed a good chunk of our unit doing it, but I thought it was a fair trade. Both trebuchets launched rocks at the Thunder Tusk, and I don't remember if they both hit or if one of them did the job. Whatever it was, that thing went poof. So everything that could go my way went my way, and everything that my opponent needed failed. He finally did kill the Grower Leak, but there's really nothing for him to do. I've got 2 big knight units behind him, so I think he turned towards the woods just to try to get away from everything and try to hide. So over here, his Butcher did not roll double ones. He and the last remaining Iron Gut fled off the table. Yeah, again, it looks like that. Or I may have killed some. No, never mind. So it's Brettonian turn 4. I get my Peg Knight out of trouble. I move all my other knights up. Shoot and magic him to weaken that unit even further. On his turn, he decides just to turn around. I mean, I was kind of assuming he would just march forward and hope that I would get a failed charge, or turn to the left out of my Questy Knight's line of sight. But more than likely, he wasn't going to be able to get away from all my units. So he said, "Screw it," just turned around, and I charged in, and yeah, I mean, there was nothing left there. So, I think of any game I've ever played, this is the one where, again, every time I rolled a dice, it was exactly what I needed it to do, it seemed like. And my opponent was just an amazing good sport about it. Just good-natured, laughed it off. It wasn't a big deal. So, I mean, really hats off to him. It was of course, complete full points.